Honourable Ministers, Baroness Patricia Scotland, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honour and delight for me to deliver the keynote address for this timely and pertinent forum on technology, trade and innovation in the COVID-19 world that we are currently living in. As has been highlighted by Baroness Patricia Scotland, this week we would all have convened in person here in Kigali. However, given the circumstances and thanks to technology, we are still able to continue our conversations virtually, which is still critical for such times that we are living in. Maybe I should begin with some positive news captured in 3 points. First, the novelty of the COVID-19 pandemic has brought to the fore a new era of relevant technological innovations that respond to the society's pressing needs. Indeed, across the world, entrepreneurs, innovators have rapidly conceived and designed and deployed new apps. We've seen robots, ventilators being developed, platforms being built, and other technologies that are really coming to the market to support efforts of the different governments and societies as we combat this pandemic. With the current pandemic, I'll just give a few examples of what we're doing in the government of Rwanda, where thanks to the different partners that have come on board, we're able to leverage various applications of technology to support contact tracing, quarantine tracking, to improve citizen outreach by using drones that will help to disseminate messages, but also monitor that many of the measures that we've put in place as government are being adhered to, but also to, even when it comes to maintaining business continuity, whether it's for the private sector, the government, civil society and schools, all these video conferencing apps, e-commerce and payment systems have been a great relief to really making sure that businesses are less disrupted during such a pandemic. These examples perfectly demonstrate the idea that necessity is the mother of invention. Second, the COVID pandemic has renewed focus on the importance of a strong private sector and a critical importance of and the support for an entrepreneurial mindset. When you look at the World Economic article that talks about how coronavirus sparked a wave of innovation in India, this illustrates how various crowdsourced platforms initiated by the government, industry associations, startup incubators have attracted entrepreneurial talent and consequently solutions for tackling the pandemic. A startup incubator, Break Corona, is said to have received over 1,300 ideas and 180 product solutions within just 2 days of the launch. And we've had similar progress for ourselves in Rwanda, where when we launched the Corona Action Rwanda, which was meant to be a platform through which we support different innovative ideas, we received more than 400 submissions. And this initiative has helped to prop up solutions for cushioning COVID-19 impact on the Rwandan population. And there are many examples. In every economy, you're going to see lots of such, entrepreneurial ideas, innovative ideas that have really, risen up to the task and are really trying to see how we can leverage the different partnerships across the economy. Third, the swift and strategic policy decisions that have leveraged the collaboration of stakeholders in both the private, public, and non-governmental actors have softened the devastating effects of the pandemic to global trade. For instance, WTO in a report released Monday this week reported that whereas world trade fell sharply in the first half of the year, rapid government responses helped to temper this contraction. WTO economics expressed the belief that while trade volumes would register a steep decline in 2020, they would unlikely reach the worst case scenario projected in April. Whereas there is some positive news, we cannot afford to be complacent. This is because the forecast of the global economy in the few coming years is still highly uncertain. As a matter of fact, the World Bank, WTO, OECD, and IMF have all released forecasts showing significant slowdowns in global trade and GDP in the coming years. Declining demand as well as supply disruptions have dramatically affected export revenues. In addition, the service sectors are reeling from the negative effects of the pandemic, with tourism, transport, distribution services heavily affected by the country lockdowns and social distancing measures imposed for public health reasons. The World Tourism Organization estimated in March 2020 that international tourists' arrivals would decline by 20 to 30% in 2020. This could translate into a loss of close to 300 to 450 billion US dollars in international tourism receipts. And this is really in terms of exports. In addition, the World Travel and Tourism Council estimated again in March this year that the number of travel and tourism jobs at immediate risk would reach close to 100 million. The question then for us during this forum, and even for many of our listeners, which is also central to the theme of this forum, is how do we work together to deliver a common future, connecting, innovating, transforming. Allow me to take a few more minutes to share two ideas on how we can achieve this. First, you agree with me that this pandemic has highlighted more than ever the importance of technology. Indeed, the rapid advancements we have seen in technology, its applications have proved again that technology is both a critical infrastructure and an enabler for socio-economic development and sustenance. Countries across the world have reported unprecedented and unanticipated demand for information and communication technology services, especially related to infrastructure. In March 2020, when Facebook reported that in countries hard hit by the pandemic, use of its online messaging service was up more than 50%, and voice and video traffic doubled. In Italy, Facebook saw a 70% surge in overall usage and a 1,000% increase in time spent on group calls. Thailand reported growth of 828%, 215% in the number of users of Zoom and Skype, respectively. And we can go on with numbers, looking at different countries that have been hit hard. But I think all this goes to show how digital technologies have been instrumental to minimizing the disruption that we could be seeing brought about by the pandemic. This pandemic had made it overwhelmingly clear that e-commerce is a game changer. I'm a strong believer of the fact that e-commerce is a critical economic driver for both domestic growth and international trade. Indeed, the demand for e-commerce services has increased sharply during this pandemic. Just to give you an example that is close to home for us in Rwanda, where we saw a lot of e-commerce companies really raising to the task, and where they recorded a tremendous increase of more than 166% in gross merchandise volume and 20% user growth of the different platforms during the COVID period. We saw so many food delivery startups coming up, delivery services as well. And this alone, when we look at how digital payments have evolved from the time we registered our first case to today, we saw a 7-fold increase in terms of the volume of transactions, where there was deliberate effort and intention for the government to promote the use of digital payment channels. These examples illustrate not only the critical role that technology has played, but also point to shifting consumer habits and behavior that should be nurtured, supported, and incentivized moving forward. This new normal is good for us, and we still need to find ways of maintaining some of the gains and the good things that have happened thanks to the pandemic, even once we have this behind us. The other side of this coin is that the pandemic has highlighted the obvious digital divide disparities, both within and across countries. We need to pay urgent and undivided attention to this obvious digital divide. All stakeholders need to work together to ensure affordability and accessibility of ICT devices, internet connectivity, and required infrastructure is there. We also need to ensure our efforts in the area of consumer and child protection. Dear participants, if these factors are not urgently addressed, we risk not only undoing the progress shown in this season, but also losing out on the overwhelming potential of technology as a facilitator of trade and development. My second idea is inspired by the global nature of COVID-19, which in my view calls for strengthened international cooperation, as well as multi-institutional approach to improving trade. This pandemic is unprecedented in the sense that it has impacted the whole world and indeed different segments of the economy and population. Now, more than ever, the vast sums of the entire population fighting the same enemy and its impacts. This means that we have a common ground and that we need to exploit and leverage. We have an unprecedented opportunity to sit together and discuss challenges and needs, and then brainstorm solutions that can be implemented and scaled across the different jurisdictions. Solutions in one part of the world can be used in another part of the world almost seamlessly, as well as since we're dealing with the same challenges. It's becoming increasingly evident that the significant impact, larger scale, and meaningful transformation can only be achieved if all partners work together. We're all working towards the same goals. Let us not work towards our goals separately, insulated in our disciplines and regions. Instead, let us work towards them together. Let us build the digital economy required and support the creation and maintenance of talents, mindsets, attitudes required to effectively weather the effects of this ongoing pandemic to global trade. Together we can, together we will, and together we should. I thank you all for your participation, and I look forward to a fruitful workshop and engagement going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Baroness, and also the Honourable Minister Paula, for the excellent insights and excellent words that you have delivered this morning on the many benefits as well as challenges of what we are trying to do here, and that is looking at developing the digital economy so that everybody in the Commonwealth and beyond can use technology to effect online trade and look at innovations. As the Honourable Minister said, this pandemic has proven to us that technology is being very, very important, more important than ever. Consider this. If this pandemic happened in 2001 or 2002, just take a moment to think about it. It would have been so different. But now in 2020, with this pandemic, we are still able to contact our families, to do work from home, to run businesses online, and so much more. So this is why today is very, very important. Thank you again, Honourable Right Honourable Patricia Scotland and Honourable Paula Ingabire. Thank you so much.